Welcome to a new episode of the podcast. Vox Agent is made by AI for business executives that work with AI. Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a tech giant, one known for keeping its most powerful AR models really tightly under wraps, suddenly just opens the floodgates. That's exactly what OpenAI just did with its new GPT-OSS models. We're talking about a major strategic U-turn here, basically back to their open source roots. So what does this all mean? For you, for businesses, and maybe for the future of AI itself?
That's right. It's a huge deal. Today, we're taking a deep dive into OpenAI's, surprising decision to release GPT-OSS 120B and GPT-OSS 20B, our mission today. To really uncover the story behind this pivotal shift, what were the motivations? What's the technical brilliance under the hood? And crucially, what's their immediate impact across industries? How are they shaking up the competitive AI landscape? And of course, the challenges and future implications this move holds for, everyone using or building with AI.
Okay, and we pulled together insights from some pretty comprehensive research reports, industry analyses too, aiming to give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed on this pretty game-changing development. Get ready for some aha moments, maybe, and perhaps some surprising facts along the way. So let's set the scene a bit. For years, OpenAI, despite its name, right, it seemed to move sharply away from open source. You think GPT-3, GPT-4, incredibly powerful, yes, but proprietary. Locked behind APIs, essentially. It even drew some pretty sharp criticism, didn't it? Including from co-founder Elon Musk, who accused them of betraying their founding principles, so they became more like a conventional profit-driven company. So after all that history, why this dramatic shift now? What really spurred it?
It really is a monumental moment. The release of GPT-OSS 120B and GPT-OSS 20B in August 2025 marks their first open-weight models since GPT-2, way back in 2019. And open weight means basically you can freely download them, run them locally on your own gear, customize them, things you just couldn't do with ChatGPT or their API models.
A completely different approach then.
Totally. It's a stark contrast. Now, the primary drivers, there was immense pressure building from a rapidly expanding global open source AI ecosystem. That's undeniable. By early 2025, models from players like Meta with their Llama series and China's DeepSeek were getting really close, near parity with proprietary systems. They were offering very compelling free alternatives that, frankly, many businesses were already starting to embrace.
Okay, so if I'm hearing this right, it wasn't just some philosophical return to their roots. It was maybe more pragmatic, almost a defensive strategic move, responding to what the market was doing.
I think that's a very accurate way to put it. Precisely. OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, even openly admitted regret in a Reddit AMA. He said he felt he was on the wrong side of history for not embracing open source sooner. So this whole initiative, it's about recapturing developer mindshare. It's about ensuring innovation truly benefits all of humanity, which was, their original mission statement. And it's also about stopping developers from defecting to competitor models. They're offering an official OpenAI model organizations can use on their own terms. And crucially, it's under that permissive Apache 2.0 license.
Right, that Apache 2.0 license. That keeps coming up. It sounds like a pretty big deal. What does permissive actually mean for our listeners in practice?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. Permissive means you have tremendous freedom. You can use the model, you can modify it, you can build entirely new applications, even commercial products on top of it. And you can even redistribute your modified versions, your derivatives, all without worrying about restrictive clauses or, say, having to open source your own code in return.
Okay. So much more freedom than some other open licenses.
Exactly. It's a level of flexibility that the open source community and particularly enterprises have really been asking for. So yeah, this isn't just a product release, it's a strategic move. It complements their existing paid API services, sure, but the goal is, as they put it, to get AI into the hands of the most people possible. It feels like a genuine attempt to reconcile their past mission with their current competitive reality.
This strategic pivot, as you've laid it out, it definitely reshapes their market position. But to really grasp its power, we need to look under the hood, right? What are the core technical innovations here? What makes GPT-OSS so significant and, maybe more importantly, actually possible for widespread adoption?
Excellent question. So technically, both GPT-OSS models are built on the transformer architecture. That's not new in itself. But the critical part here is their use of a mixture of experts design, MOE for short.
Mixture of experts.
Yeah. Imagine a large committee of specialized experts. For any given task, you only consult the most relevant experts, not the entire committee. That's essentially MOE. So while the big 120B model has this enormous total parameter count, a staggering 117 billion parameters spread across 36 layers, it only actually activates a fraction of those, about 5.1 billion, for each bit of processing per token inference.
Fascinating. So it's super sparse, as I've heard it called.
Yeah.
What does that translate to for someone actually trying to run it? Less computational grunt needed.
Exactly right. It achieves the quality level you'd expect from a much larger, denser model, but it runs incredibly efficiently on, well, less hardware. The 120B model needs roughly an 80 gigawatt RAM GPU. Now, that's still significant, but you can find that in a single high-end server or a decent cloud instance. It's achievable. And the smaller 20B model, even more accessible, runs comfortably on devices with around 16 gigawatt of memory. Think many consumer-grade GPUs.
Wow.
And this efficiency gets another boost from a novel, highly optimized data format they developed specifically for these MOE layers. You can think of it like a super efficient compression technique. It lets the model run even faster on less hardware.
That kind of efficiency is really remarkable.
Yeah.
So how does all this, cutting-edge tech translate into actual benefits, practical applications for our listeners? What can these models do?
Well, one really major capability is their unusually large context window. We're talking 128,000 tokens.
128K? That's huge.
It is. That's hundreds of pages of text. It means GPS can analyze massive documents, entire books, extensive code bases without having to cut things off or summarize prematurely. That's almost unheard of for an open model of this size.
That is a game changer for so many fields: finance, legal, research.
Yeah.
What else?
They also excel at advanced reasoning. They often use what's called chain of thought prompting. And it's not just a black box giving you an answer. The model actually generates the intermediate steps in its reasoning process. And developers get full access to these reasoning chains. That gives you transparency, helps with debugging. It's really useful.
So you can see how it got the answer.
Exactly. And interestingly, OpenAI chose not to filter or heavily shape this chain of thought output during training. They wanted to preserve its honesty, believing that seeing the raw reasoning actually helps detect when it might be going off track. What's also incredibly powerful is their native support for tool use and agentic ability.
Agentic abilities, meaning?
Meaning GPS can do things like function calling, interfacing with other software. It can browse the web.
Yeah.
It can even execute code. It can basically act as the brains of an autonomous AI agent. It can decide on its own, okay, I need to perform a web search now, or I need to call this API as intermediate steps to fulfill a complex user request.
So it's moving beyond just generating text. It's actively problem-solving, interacting with other systems. That feels like a significant leap forward for open models.
Absolutely. And they've added more ways to customize it, too. There's a configurable reasoning effort setting. You can choose low, medium, or high. This lets you trade off speed versus accuracy. You can tell it via the system message, use a light touch for simple queries, or go into heavy reasoning mode for complex tasks.
Oh, flexible.
Very. And of course, because they are open-weight models, they are fully fine-tunable. You can train them further on your own proprietary datasets. This means you can specialize them for specific domains like medical knowledge or for your company's internal knowledge bases. OpenAI even open-sourced the tokenizer they use, called O200 Harmony. That might sound technical, but it means you can customize how the model reads text without worrying about mismatches later, which is crucial if you're building custom applications.
Okay, these models are clearly powerful, they're flexible, built with some really cutting-edge techniques, and there's a strong focus on practical use. So the big question, what has the immediate reaction been? From the AI community, from enterprises, where are we already seeing GPT-OSS in action? Like right now?
The impact was, well, immediate and pretty significant. It showed an unprecedented level of ecosystem readiness, really. OpenAI hosted GPUs on Hugging Face, the main hub for open models, making it super easy to access. And major cloud providers, Microsoft Azure, Amazon, AWS, Databricks, they immediately integrated one-click deployment options. Boom.
Wow, day one integration, that's fast.
Extremely fast. Hardware partners like NVIDIA, AMD, even Cerebras, they ensured optimal chip performance right from the start. Microsoft even provided GPU-optimized Windows builds using something called ONNX runtime. The takeaway here is GPT-OSS was essentially production-ready for businesses to deploy without waiting months for community workarounds or optimizations.
So the infrastructure was ready to go. What about adoption?
Early signals show really robust interest. On Hugging Face, the models got thousands of downloads and likes within just a few days. But, more importantly, OpenAI coordinated with several early adopters, and we're seeing tangible results already. For example, in the public sector, there's the Svea project in Sweden. It's led by AI Sweden, and they're fine-tuning GPS specifically for public sector services. They're adapting it to Swedish administrative language, legal contexts, and critically running it on Swedish infrastructure. That ensures data sovereignty for citizen data, government documents.
Data sovereignty, that's huge for governments. How many are involved?
Over 55 public organizations are already involved in this pilot. They're looking at using it for things like summarizing complex legal texts or helping draft responses to citizens.
That's a massive step for localized government-level AI adoption. What about the private sector? Any examples there?
Definitely. In telecommunications, Orange SA is fine-tuning GPT-OSS for regional African languages like Wolof and Pular to enhance customer service bots and tools. And again, they're hosting it in their own data centers. This is key for EU data compliance, even while operating across 18 African countries. They also emphasized using the simplest model necessary for each task, promoting efficiency and responsible AI.
Interesting focus on efficiency there, too. Any others?
Yes, one more really good example is in enterprise data analytics with Snowflake. Snowflake is allowing its clients to deploy GPT-OSS directly inside their virtual private cloud within the Snowflake Data Cloud platform.
Inside the data cloud. What does that mean practically?
It's a big deal. It means businesses can ask natural language questions about their own corporate data, sales figures, customer trends, whatever. And GPT-OSS processes that query securely without the sensitive data ever leaving Snowflake's secure environment.
So no data egress. That avoids huge cloud costs and major security headaches.
Exactly. Reduces cloud egress costs significantly and ensures really robust data governance.
It's clear these aren't just, theoretical use cases. They're already creating real-world value in diverse sectors. And beyond these specific examples, the potential applications for you listening seem immense. Across healthcare, finance, manufacturing, benefiting from that customization, the on-prem or private cloud deployment, and GPL's ability to maybe augment human expertise rather than just replace it. Okay, this move by OpenAI, it clearly shifts the competitive dynamics in the AI world. Who are the key players we should be watching, and how are they reacting to GPT suddenly jumping into the open source arena?
Yeah, the competitive landscape is certainly heating up. It's becoming less about a single winner-takes-all, maybe, and more about how the entire ecosystem evolves. First, you've got Meta. They've been a really strong champion of open source with their Llama series. OpenAI's GPT-OSS directly takes on Meta, you could say. They're offering similar capabilities, but under that even more permissive Apache 2.0 license. That license is generally preferred by the open source community, especially businesses, over Meta's custom licenses, which have some restrictions.
Right, so that might pressure Meta.
It puts direct pressure on Meta, yeah. They might need to adjust their own open strategy, especially if OpenAI's open models gain significant traction in the enterprise space.
So it's almost like OpenAI is saying, look, we can play your open source game too, and maybe even better for business needs.
Precisely. Then there's Google, through DeepMind. They've largely been more conservative, keeping their biggest models like Gemini proprietary. They've experimented with open-weight versions, like Gemma, but those often come with more usage restrictions. GFTOS now directly challenges Google in that enterprise AI segment, especially with Microsoft pushing it hard on Azure. It could potentially steer enterprises towards OpenAI's open models rather than Google Cloud's proprietary offerings.
Okay, so pressure on Meta, pressure on Google. What about Anthropic? They're known for Claude, focusing on safety.
Right. Anthropic is firmly in the proprietary camp with their Claude models. They focus heavily on safety claims and API sales. GPS could definitely reclaim some enterprise traction for OpenAI here. It might force Anthropic to really double down on proving they're the safest or consistently the highest quality model available via API. Or maybe look for deeper platform integrations.
And what about those smaller, nimbler open source startups, the ones like Mistral AI or even Hugging Face's broader initiatives, who've really been driving this charge?
Yeah, their position is, well, complex now. On one hand, OpenAI's entry massively validates the whole open source approach they've been pioneering. But on the other hand, it also presents a pretty significant competitive threat. OpenAI is a giant with huge resources.
So they might build on GPT or need to specialize even more.
Exactly. These startups might now build on GPT-OSS, using it as a base to accelerate their own development. Or they might need to find even more specialized niches where they can offer unique value that a general model like GPT-OSS can't easily match. And finally, you have to consider the Chinese AI firms. Companies like DeepSeek, Alibaba with Qwen, they've been incredibly active. DeepSeek R1 was cited as a wake-up call in Silicon Valley not long ago. Sam Altman explicitly mentioned wanting to keep open innovation rooted in the U.S. with democratic values, which definitely suggests a geopolitical dimension to this release.
Interesting. So potentially trying to keep leadership in the West.
Potentially, although ironically, because of that permissive Apache license, Chinese firms might actually adopt GPT-OSS themselves. It could create a really complex global dynamic, even though domestic demand for localized AI will remain strong in China.
So we're seeing this really fascinating mix. Intense competition, yes, but also potential collaboration or at least co-development using these open models happening across the globe. What are the broader market trends that, a business leader should be aware of while navigating this?
Well, there's definitely a clear and accelerating trend towards using open source AI in enterprises. We heard anecdotes that many of OpenAI's own customers were already quietly using open models like Llama alongside their proprietary APIs. This GPT-OSS release could just dramatically accelerate that adoption curve.
Think so.
We might see AI providers start to bifurcate more clearly, offering distinct closed APIs for maximum cutting-edge quality and open models for flexibility, customization, and cost savings, or like OpenAI is doing now, trying to span both segments. But this raises a really fundamental, maybe even disruptive question. If freely available open models start to seriously approach the capabilities of paid APIs, well, who will pay for intelligence at all?
That's a truly profound thought. It implies a fundamental shift in where the economic value lies in AI, not the model itself, maybe.
Exactly. It could lead to a significant shift in business models across the industry. Value might move away from selling access to the core model itself and more towards offering crucial services built around it. Things like guaranteed uptime, expert fine-tuning services, specialized consulting, seamless integration support. Think of the Red Hat model for Linux. The core software is free, but enterprises pay substantial amounts for the robust support, security, maintenance, and services around it.
The value-add services become the product.
Precisely. And the other trend is just the sheer pace of innovation. It's likely to accelerate even further now. Companies will study each other's open releases, quickly incorporating techniques like mixture of experts or large context windows into their own models. It pushes the entire field forward incredibly fast.
Okay, but no major tech shift like this comes without, its hurdles and potential downsides. What are the challenges and the limitations that come with this new OpenAI frontier? And then what does the future hold for GPT-OSS and the broader AI landscape?
You're absolutely right. It's definitely not a silver bullet. Despite that impressive efficiency we talked about, the 120B model still requires significant hardware. 80 gigabytes of VRAM isn't something you just have lying around on a typical desktop. So deploying this at scale still needs robust infrastructure and, frankly, specialized expertise to manage it.
It's not consumer-level tech. Not yet, anyway.
Not the 120B, no. And while it's excellent for an open model, it's important to remember it's not OpenAI's absolute best state-of-the-art model. GPT-4 and presumably the upcoming GPT-5, they likely remain more capable, especially in certain highly nuanced or complex reasoning tasks. Also, a key limitation right now, GPT-S is text-only. Unlike some of the top proprietary models, it can't yet understand images or audio inputs.
Okay, so technical limitations.
Yeah.
What about challenges for organizations actually trying to implement this? You mentioned expertise.
Exactly. For organizations, it's definitely not plug and play like using an API. Running GPT-OSS effectively in-house or even in your private cloud requires deep expertise in machine learning operations, MLOps, and DevOps. You're taking on the full burden of maintenance, updates, patching, monitoring, all the things a vendor handles when you use an API.
So the responsibility shifts significantly.
It does. The responsibility for ensuring model quality, performance, and importantly, safety and security shifts directly onto your organization. And this brings up that critical question around safety and ethical considerations. It's a big one.
Right. Powerful tools in everyone's hands.
When powerful models like this are open, there's an inherent risk of misuse. Generating sophisticated disinformation, automating cyber attacks, creating harmful or biased content. These are real concerns. OpenAI acknowledged this. They actually delayed the GPT-OSS release for extensive safety testing. They even launched a $500,000 public challenge, basically inviting people to red team the models to probe for vulnerabilities before release.
That's good they did that.
Yeah.
The risk remains.
The risk remains because the core architecture, as released, doesn't have built-in content filters like you might find in ChatGPT. Users, meaning organizations deploying it, must implement their own safety guardrails, their own monitoring, to prevent misuse and avoid potential reputational or legal damage.
That's a crucial point. The power comes with a new, significant level of accountability for the user, for the organization deploying it. What about the broader legal and regulatory environment? How does that fit in with open models?
It's still evolving, but absolutely relevant. There are ongoing legal questions around the intellectual property contained within the massive data sets used to train these models. That hasn't gone away. And emerging AI regulations like the EU AI Act, they're likely going to require more transparency, more documentation, more rigorous risk assessments from companies deploying any powerful AI model, whether it's open or closed. Deploying an open model doesn't exempt you from regulatory scrutiny.
So openness isn't a free pass on compliance.
Not at all. And it presents that double-edged sword we touched on. Transparency is good. It allows public inspection, finding bugs, understanding biases, but it also potentially exposes weaknesses or vulnerabilities to malicious actors more easily than a closed model might.
Okay, so despite these significant challenges, hardware, expertise, safety, regulation, what's the future outlook? How might OpenAI evolve this strategy, and what are the big trends we can expect in, say, the next 3 to 5 years in this space?
Well, I think we can expect OpenAI to continue pretty aggressively down this open source path now that they've started. We'll likely see them release more robust safety frameworks or tools to help users implement those guardrails we talked about. Maybe they'll even open source other components, perhaps parts of their training code or evaluation methods to further build community trust and collaboration.
And the models themselves. Will the gap close?
The gap between the best open models and the best closed models is widely expected to narrow further. Some believe open models might even reach parity, or potentially surpass closed ones on certain benchmarks, simply due to the sheer power of collective community effort and fine-tuning. We'll definitely see a proliferation of domain-specific models built on GPS. Imagine an open healthcare LLM fine-tuned on verified medical texts, or community-driven fine-tunes optimized for specific business functions like coding or marketing copy.
So truly democratizing specialized AI, not just general intelligence.
Yes, exactly. Expect continued advances in efficiency and tooling as well, making these models cheaper, faster to run. New architectures, maybe improved versions of mixture of experts could become mainstream, lowering the barrier to entry even further. AI agents and autonomy, where GPT-OSS acts as the brains for automated workflows, that's going to become far more common. We might start seeing actual AI coworkers integrated into business processes.
Wow. And multimodality, images, audio.
That's likely coming too. We might well see open multimodal GPT models emerge from OpenAI or the community, capable of analyzing images, video, audio, directly competing with capabilities currently only found in top proprietary models like GPT-4v. All of this reinforces that shift in business models we discussed. Value moves from selling the core model access towards offering customization, specialized hosting, security, and support services. Ultimately, it really does suggest a more democratized global AI landscape. Powerful AI solutions could start emerging from unexpected places, potentially reducing the global AI divide. We might even see more governments adopting or adapting open models for strategic autonomy, like the Sweden example.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? OpenAI's return to open source with GPT-OSS feels like a genuine watershed moment. It's fundamentally bridging that gap that existed between the proprietary, closed AI world and the rapidly growing open source ecosystem. It brings immense opportunities, no doubt, for innovation, for cost savings, for regaining control over your AI stack. But, as we've discussed, it also shifts significant responsibility onto your shoulders for ethical deployment, for security, for robust implementation. The competitive edge, it seems, will go to those who not only adopt this powerful technology, but also anticipate the rapid improvements in the constantly changing landscape around it. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder. As AI becomes more democratized, more accessible, what new responsibilities fall upon all of us? Not just as technologists or executives, but maybe as a society. How do we ensure this incredibly powerful technology truly serves all of humanity, safely and ethically, as its potential spreads far and wide? Thank you for joining the podcast, and see you soon.